I didn't know I was moving to my Pluto line. I didn't even know what that meant at the time. At 20 years old, I was just following what I thought was best for me. I wanted an education that valued independent thinking and a chance to start fresh in a new country. Denmark seemed like the right choice at the time, but I had no idea I was stepping into a place that would ask me to confront every shadow within me over the course of the next 10 years. When I moved to Denmark, I didn't know about astrocartography. I knew about astrology, but I didn't know about astrocartography, which is the astrology of location. I also didn't know that I would be moving to a place where I have 2 Pluto aspect lines. And I certainly didn't know that Pluto would be coloring the way that my 20s would play out, or the way that my university years would be like. It wasn't easy and it wasn't fun in the way that 20s are supposed to be, I guess. All I knew was that I wanted to study abroad, and I wanted to find a place in the world where I could feel like I belong. But little did I know there was a lot of baggage that I had to let go of, baggage that wasn't always even mine, before I could even do that or even comprehend what belonging meant. Pluto's shadow was everywhere. In my relationships, in the way I clung to dreams that weren't meant for me, and in the endless cycles of wondering, why me? Looking back now, it's so clear how deeply I was caught in Pluto's darker patterns. Because Pluto energy isn't easy, it's not gentle, it's not forgiving, but it is brutally honest. So looking back now, I can see how in every moment of those 10 years, Pluto asked me to cut the crap and mercilessly let go of stuff, people, and ideas that were leading me nowhere. In case you're wondering, my natal Pluto is in my 4th house, so the most tangible way that I felt Pluto rage through my life was through my physical space. Over the course of those 10 years, I lived in 10 different places, and in 1 year I even moved a total of 3 times. The rental market in Copenhagen was truly brutal for students, and I felt constantly uprooted. Either the contracts ended suddenly, or the owner suddenly decided that they wanted to sell the apartment. And sometimes it was me accepting spaces that weren't right for me because I had no other choice. It felt like I was living on unstable ground, and for someone like me with a stellium in the 4th house, having a space that I can retreat to, a physical space of safety and comfort, is something that's really, really important to me. During those years, as cliche as it sounds, I began to realize that I cannot look for security from outside sources. That security needs to start coming from within. And then there was the emotional side of Pluto, the shadow work it demands. Those years forced me to confront my relationship with my mother. I had to unlearn the people-pleasing tendencies that had taken root so deeply in me to secure love from someone who wasn't able to give it. Naturally, the same dynamic played out in my romantic relationships as well while in Denmark, until I was ready to see and untangle the connections between my past and my present. Remember, Pluto wants you to be honest, and so the minute I started being honest, that's when things started to shift for me. Pluto has a way of making you face the truth and tear things down, even if it's uncomfortable. Not for the sake of destruction, but to transform us, to only leave the essential things that we truly, truly need. For me, that truth was about self-reliance. I had to realize that I cannot keep looking for security from external sources my mother, my lovers, my physical home. And on the flip side, Pluto's gift is emotional courage, the willingness to face the deepest parts of yourself, to release what's past its expiry date, and to trust that something better will come in its place. I had to find that security within myself. It wasn't all darkness though. Pluto doesn't just destroy for the sake of it and leave you in the ashes. It also gives you the tools to rebuild so that you can become stronger than ever before. And it opens doors you didn't even know existed. And for me, that door was psychology and my spirituality. In the darkest moments, I found myself turning inward, obsessively reading every psychology book that I could get my hands on, developing my intuitive skills, and leaning on my spiritual practice to ground me and give me perspective. But even then, I knew that I didn't want to lose myself in other dimensions. I didn't want to escape this earthly life, no matter how hard it was at the time. I knew that I wanted to live life fully, with my 2 feet on the ground and my heart open to life. So I traveled a lot to different countries, and it was a welcome relief for me in many ways. And make no mistake, I did try to move to those countries many times, and I did go away for periods of time, but my academic pursuits in Denmark always brought me back, and that's something I don't regret. Regardless of how those 10 years in Denmark were for me, I wanted to become an independent thinker, and that's exactly what I achieved. In the end, it took me 10 years before I was ready to leave Denmark behind, and when I did leave, it felt like throwing myself off a cliff. I left Denmark during the first lockdown of 2020. I decided to go back to Estonia, give it 3 months and see how I felt about staying there for a longer period of time, or maybe even for life. And by the end of those 3 months, I had met the man that is now my husband, and I'm not making this up. And fast forward another 2 years, and I have my own home now that is mine, legally mine, and it is the most grounded I have ever felt in my life. Looking back, it's so clear to me that everything had to happen exactly as it did. I had to be in Denmark for all of those years. 10 years on my Pluto line taught me about trusting myself, trusting my intuition, having my own back, and finding a sense of home within myself first. Those years also gave me the chance to become someone that I never thought I could be. Someone stronger, wiser, and more whole. This is my personal experience with Pluto, and your relationship to Pluto will be different depending on your natal promise. Regardless, I won't sugarcoat it. The journey into Pluto is not an easy one, it's not a gentle one, but it's so worth it. If you're curious about your own Pluto line and what it means for you and what lessons does it have in store for you, then I have a free resource for you that helps you explore it. You can find the link for it in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss future videos from me, and also so that others who are into astrocartography could find this video as well.